everyone. Welcome to the Rona Report. My name is Elizabeth Chijioke. I am your host.
I'm Marisa.
And I'm Ryan.
And that's Dr. Ryan. And this is the Rona Report. If it's your first time joining us, we are I think every episode, the definition of what we do here changes, but we are a social show, a contemporary show featuring or highlighting all things COVID. We've been doing this since the beginning of COVID, March 2020. And so, we're here bringing you all the news, everything from Trump's crazy self to, COVID in semen and dating while COVID, all of the craziest things you could think about, we try to talk about it. And so I was not planning to go there. So I did that.
I was not ready for that. That's hilarious. Okay, let's get into it.
So like Ryan's saying, let's get into it. We're having a really special episode today because Marisa is hosting and she's come with I like Marisa hosting because she comes with the facts and the fire and she's here to give it to you. And so, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'm going to hand it over to Marisa. She'll be going over our topics. And do we want to check in today, guys? Do we have any any highlights, any check-ins?
Conservatives, Republicans, you might say, that did the metaphorical starting of a bar fight and are getting mad that they're getting canceled. So, I mean, I just don't know why the case should be any different. I know why they probably think it's different. Schizo. But, I think getting thrown out of the bar is totally applicable.
Yeah, it's like an abusive husband who beats you and then knocks up another woman and then burns the house to the ground. And then when you're ready to divorce him, he's like, wait, no, we just need to unite. And you just need to unite. And that's literally how I feel like the Republican Party is doing right now. They've kicked you, they've gotten a bitch pregnant, burned the house down. And then once you're like, I can't do this anymore, enough, then it's like, wait a minute. No apology. Right. We need to just have unity. And that's how I feel right now. Like, if you don't get your shit together and get out.
It's interesting because Don Lemon had he's been trending on this out. He had an outburst where he was talking about how typically during Trump's 4 years, whenever people would bring up Democrats would bring up things that Trump's done, like Republicans or people on the right would be like, well, don't bring up your feelings, bring up the facts, bring up the facts, bring up the facts. And it was like, well, the fact is Donald Trump lost this election and who's bringing up their feelings now? Because people, Republicans are like, well, you just have to let people who wanted Trump to win, come to with the election, the election results. And they're like, no, they don't have. So that's interesting. That's
we don't have time for that. Joe Biden doesn't even have cabinet members because we're so concerned about the sensitive Republican feeling. So, and he's supposed to enter this administration running. So it's just frustrating. Also, that crazy, insane man with his shirt off that broke into the Capitol, that terrorist, they lied. First they're like, oh, he's on a hunger strike. And it was like, no, actually, his mom called and said that he's not eating in the jail because the food is not organic. And
I did see that.
Yeah,
he only eats organic food, and meanwhile, Muslims in Gitmo have to eat pork. Yeah.
You can starve. That's all right. That's fine. Have some peanut butter on a slice of toast and call it a day. You're in jail for being a terrorist. You know what I'm saying? But the judge ruled, and he now has his organic food. So I guess that maybe that's my highlight of the week. Wow.
Which is crazy.
Huh?
Which is crazy. I didn't know. I said, which is crazy. Special treatment in jail?
What? That toilet water ain't treating you well? Girl, bye. You better make that wine in the toilet and call it a day. Stop it. Like you're doing too much. You're in prison. You're not in a hotel. This isn't a rest stop for you. Like, I'm just like, ugh. So you guys, our first subject we want to talk about is what we're not talking about. And what aren't we talking about right now during all this Trump nonsense, Trump traitorous nonsense is COVID. We're not talking about how we are not distributing the vaccine properly. We're not talking about the historic $4,000 people at least a day deaths that's been going on for about a week. As far as the vaccine being here, do you feel like enough is being done right now in this moment, even though it's not the spotlight, even though it should be? With COVID, do you feel like enough is being done right now?
I could go first. I think the way in which the vaccine was delivered was unprecedented. I think that only tells of the good that our medical experts are doing, like how efficient and effective they're being with the time that they're having. I also think that I think that people are being better, at least in New York City. I know that our cases have been down, and when I do go out to run errands in chores, I see people like wearing masks. I see advertisements saying like wash your hands, stay away, keep your distance for six.
Are more people out in New York?
Huh?
Are more people out in New York right now?
I'm not quite sure what the numbers look like exactly on the ground, but I could only talk about like my day to day, kind of like when I run across the street to do laundry, when I go to the grocery store. Like, people are very much still taking it seriously. So I guess to answer your question, I do think that at least from a community level, at least from a state level, depending on which state you live in, this is going to differ from state to state. I think that people and officials are doing the best that they can with what they are given. On a federal level, on the other hand, absolutely not. But I didn't expect anything on a federal level anyways. I mean, since March. So to answer your question, yes, on different levels, things are being done to the best of everyone's ability.
So from the reports that I've kind of seen and paid attention to, I don't think that it's been very successful. It is a good testament that, like, obviously the vaccine was able to be developed in basically record amount of time. But I remember distinctly, for example, Trump, of course, the head of the government, and Mike Pence, who's, was the head of the coronavirus task force, right? Like, he was, they were saying that, once we vote for me, right? Before the election, vote for me. Once we have the vaccine, we might have it before the election, and then the military will just roll it out and everybody will get it. And so it was like, oh, okay. If he's so adamant about having the military do it and handle the logistics and all that, maybe we'll get something done. But of course, he's an incompetent manager. It's not what he does. Have various vials, of course, gone out to the states? Yes. But have they gotten from the refrigerators, the hospitals, and so forth to the people that they need to get to at the rate that they need to get to? No. I think they wanted to have 2 million people vaccinated before the end of the year, and we're well below that. They're not hitting any of the markers that they previously wanted to. And so even within the states, people are kind of doing, the governors and probably localities are doing all of a patchwork of things. So I know Cuomo has been kind of bad and making it very strict. You have to get it to, these A1 risk priority people, the elderly and medical folks, but then you can't let it expire. And if you give to somebody else, you're also going to get fined $1 million or whatever. And so that kind of stuff, without a coherent plan throughout the states to give it out. I think it's just been that's been to the detriment of us all, because we have a patchwork of different systems, and there's no coherent single strategy, which I think just kind of speaks to the fact that we don't have like a national health service type thing. So we could be doing a lot better for sure.
Yep. And the superbug is here. So the virus has mutated, like how chickenpox mutates into shingles. This virus has mutated, and it's become. It was in Britain for a while, or in Europe actually for a while, and in Europe, they said that it put everybody back on lockdown, like with a quickness, put them back on lockdown. And it's made its way over here. It's in California, it's in Texas, it's in New York. I believe it's in Florida too. But I'm trying to figure out, because we've been so focused on the idiot and his pack of idiots, that it's almost like I want to know, are these record deaths over $4,000 a day, is this connected to the mutation? Is this connected to the mutation? Because that's what caused California to go back on lockdown too. They only had about 10 beds when they decided to go back on lockdown. They only had 10 hospital beds left. So because we've been so hyper focused on, with good reason, we've been focused on treason. But at the same time,
it is the season.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it makes sense. It's the season for treason. But it's at the same time, it's kind of like this major thing is still going on too. And it's kind of eerie to know that I don't even think we've been through 2 weeks of January, and this is what's going on. Like, I think
right.
It's Thursday, homie, on filming this. So it's kind of like, wow, okay, so this is what we're starting off with. All right. I was telling my sister the other day, like, 2020 started off with this massive fire in Australia, and immediately an impeachment the first time of
right.
Donald Trump. So
right.
yeah, I want there to be more information. I want there to be more guidelines. I want to figure out what's going on, because Las Vegas here, where I'm at, is awake. People are out, they're about, they are reopening things. People are starting to go out more, even if it's just like for a little bit. But like there's traffic again, which is a sign,
Yeah, it's not good.
What? Where are they going? What's the traffic? Where are these people going?
I don't know, but there's traffic on the freeway. The freeway is like full. So I'm like, I don't know where y'all are going, but the city is awake, because when I first got there, it was like deserted.
Yeah.
But now it's just kind of like, you know what? It's that thing again where it's like, you know what? We don't have the superbug here. We're good. We are not California. We're gonna be out and about, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah. I think that, if I may, I think that at this point that the coronavirus and COVID is a headline. Like, I think it went from something that is seriously affecting people, that can affect you, that might affect you, to now it's just like, oh my God, we're day 200 and something into COVID and it's still not here. So I think from a social standpoint, I think people are tired of talking about it. People are tired of hearing about it. If we could just like continue to do it's that mosquito in your ear that's still here, like you still hear it, but it's like so small that you don't really want to pay attention to it, or you really don't want to like talk about it. Maybe a mosquito is a bad analogy because I hate mosquitoes and I'm always like, get away. But I feel like very much from like from a societal standpoint, people are tired of hearing about COVID. So yes, it sounds as though when you don't have news reporters talking about how 4,000 people died in a day and how that number is larger than it was, what cases were when it first started back in February and March. I think that it's still going to continue to be that way. I think that a lot of what we're going to find with COVID is a lot of what we will find will be found afterhand. So will we know that the people dying today, like the cases now rising, are from the superbug? Maybe not now. Maybe in June we're gonna be like, yo, remember when people were dying, at that higher rate back in January? Like maybe it was a superbug. Because I remember last February, so many people were dying. Like, so many people were dying, and people just thought it was the flu until March came around, and then they found out, and then COVID came out, and they were like, "Oh, were all of these people who passed away in February from the flu were those COVID cases?" So I think what we're going to see happen is history repeating itself. Is it right? Is it fair? No, but I think that's what's happening.
Let me ask this question. You guys know what happened in Florida with that doctor, where she refused to fluff the numbers of the COVID numbers in Florida, and the governor sent police officers to her home to seize her computer, to seize her files, to continue to suppress information. Do you think that the reason why we're not seeing it in the news as much, besides from the fact that the airways are covered in terrorist news, do you think that it's withholding of information, that we're not really hearing about it anymore, or at least hearing about it at its height?
Well, yeah, I mean, I will say that, yeah. So, and just for clarity, like by fluff, you mean like she wasn't, or she was deflating the numbers?
Yeah, they wanted her to not report what the actual numbers are. Okay. But this was when Trump was running, and she declined, and she wanted to post what the actual number, how people were dying in masses in Florida. Okay. And I believe she was fired for that, and they raided her home, and they took her computer, they took her files to try and silence her.
Yeah, so I remember hearing that story, I think a month or two ago, and even before that, like I remember Trump had the data, like he stopped allowing the CDC to get the data first, and then and have like all the data go to the White House and then go to the CDC. So at that point, I was like, okay, like these numbers, whatever they are, they're going to be a little bit fishy, and like, the way that the curve has like looked to me, it's started going down a little bit like in the fall, and then it started going back up now, and it's like pretty much vertical at the moment. So I mean, I think, and so I don't know this, so this is speculation, but I feel like part of that, and because it was leading up to election, yeah, like there was probably some suppression. I think that's plausible. Yeah, I think it's plausible. But there's other things also that I guess could be at play. Just to touch on a couple other things. I mean, one of the things I do want to make sure that people know is that, yeah, the superbug is more transmissible, and that just means that it can be exponential. It's the rate of growth of the number of infectious cases will grow exponentially because of that. So, and then the deaths will follow. So that's going to be bad news for everybody. And I think, to your point before, they only test for the new bug. Like I think when you're like they do the genetic testing for the new bug only when like you're hospitalized and it's like very serious. And so there's a lot of people that could be carrying the new strain that don't even know that they're carrying it, and spreading this more transmissible one. So, I mean, not only do we have to worry about people not reporting the numbers correctly, but then, are we even doing the proper amount of testing to track like the new bug versus the old bug? Like that's also a question.
It's just so frustrating to me, because you hear about those members of Congress who, when they went into lockdown, they were with Republican new incumbents, and they refused to wear masks, the Republican incumbents, and now three of the Democratic House members, I believe, came down with COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
I think,
yeah.
Yeah, I was
Horrible.
just gonna say, yeah, I think it, and in the Capitol attack, of course, there were
Yeah.
people that didn't have masks and they had to huddle together, and a couple members of the House caucus like now have COVID. Um, but yeah, that leads perfectly into what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah. So we are last time we met, we talked about like the actual storming of the building, this terrorist attack. But now I want to talk about what is the actions that are being taken. We knew that it was next to damn near nothing that was done when the actual act happened. There weren't any police there, or there wasn't enough for thousands of people that were at the rally. You know what I'm saying? Not even, yeah, just a teeny bit. We now know that there were bombs planted all over the Capitol. You can only imagine the destruction if the person that planted them had been in the least bit competent, because none of them went off. Praise God. But I wanted to talk about the aftermath. Now we're seeing people who are going to jail. I mean, like, I at this point, I'm confused as to what the hell did you think was going to happen? I guess they thought that they were just going to walk away, because that's exactly what they damn sure did. And then the police and then the FBI said, wait a minute, girl, hold up. No, y'all are going to jail. I mean, what I want to ask, do you think that the actions being taken now are suitable to the crime that was committed? Or are we not doing enough? Are we not doing too much? Or are we not representing for what the actual crime is?
I think. No, Ryan, you should go first, because I've gone first the last 2 times.
No. I want to hear from you. I feel like I'm going to be the contrarian here, perhaps, but so.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, and I hope God does not smite me, but I feel like when on the day of the Capitol storming, and while I was watching it here at my place, I was just like, are these people going to get bombed? Like, when is a bomb going to drop on them and like have them disperse into like the little roaches that they were? Because I feel like I feel as though honestly, I know, Marisa, you were saying offline that 20 years is not enough for them, but I feel like 20 years is just enough to have them thinking about what they did and what they were thinking, and the more that comes out about it is just like, no, 20 years is not enough. This was attempted murder. These people were here to murder people, and so whatever the penalty is for first degree murder, because this was like premeditated, like you were saying, if they were competent enough to actually, not saying like, thank God they were not competent enough, but if they were competent enough to actually carry through anything, 25 to life is the minimum, is a minimum that they should have gotten. I think that everyone there who participated in the storming should, as some like at depending on your crime or whatever, like at some minimum level, go to jail. If you stormed a building, prison. But if you were just outside talking shit, whatever, then absolutely jail for you even being there. But yeah, I have more thoughts. I'm gonna hear what Ryan says and then come back.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm gonna. I don't want to necessarily be lenient on them, because I do think that you can't get away with an attack on a seat on government and just let that slide. Like, I think that if you set like a precedent by what you convict for and what you let slide. And so, I mean, there were, in the summer, of course, there were people there were demonstrators that were doing graffiti and stuff, like on federal like courthouses and stuff. And of course, the conservatives, they lost their mind. They should go to jail. They were snatching people up in vans, right? Like, we saw this. But then, yeah, you literally go to the seat of government and you're causing a ruckus and just
smearing shit on the walls.
Yeah, it's not. No, you can't get away with that.
Did you just say shit? Because they actually reported, New York Times reported, they were smearing shit. Literal,
all
someone went to
the
the walls, picked up shit.
But you mad about graffiti? Okay.
Do you understand what E. coli does to the body? Like, no, this is.
I'm trying to figure out who took the time to take a dump. Anyway.
And then smear it. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, you definitely can't let people get away with this, right? And so, like, you have to put people on trial. I mean, I personally am not like. I'm slightly more on the side of just overall like abolishing prisons in general. Like, so I think once again, kind of to be consistent, it's like, yeah, you gotta, I don't wish prison kind of on anybody, but
I do.
it's one of the, but like, I mean, but in some cases, like you do, and like obviously we need to. That's like the system that we have. That's a penalty that they should get. Like, I don't like the idea of them not being arrested, getting away with it, and thinking that they did something, they can come back and do it again. Like people, I think when people don't face the consequences of like going to jail, going through the trial and going through that hardship, then, then they don't regret it. Like I saw, I think a news report saying that, it was the guy that was like hanging off of the,
yes,
like off one of the like railings or awnings or whatever in Congress. He was like, I just got caught up and I didn't really mean it. And it's like, no, like, see, this is why you think you have privilege. You think you can get away with it, and you got to get slapped with these legal consequences.
And literally, you have to slap literally as well. Yeah.
What is it? God, what do they call it? Anyway, yeah, we can't spoil a child, and we gotta use the cane, right?
Spoil the child.
Like, yeah, they got to get that cane, boy. That's my. I mean, you got to get some kind of cane, but like, I mean, 20 years and all that stuff. I don't know. I think overall, like politically, we have to do something to like turn them not crazy, but at the same time still punish them for being crazy. Like you have to be punished for the crazy thing, and politically we have to do something to form them into not crazy people.
I think that Ryan brings up a good point, because you brought up something about like, what are the implications of doing something to this magnitude and not being reprimanded for it? And what I was thinking about, I was taking it further, but like what I was thinking about was how many other people who are watching this demonstration, like, how many of them are going to go like, oh, these people did it. No one went to jail. Nothing happened to them. How much more can I do? And how, like, even further than that, how like their actions alone like created this state of lawlessness for certain individuals. Like if nothing happens to these people, the fact that, and in a way we failed, and the government has failed, that these people were not arrested on spot. And so
right.
Like we're going to talk about it later, like, was this a planned operation? Because the fact that they got there, these are people who flew in from all over the country now, and now they're on no-fly lists. And so like there's been like a couple of the videos have gone viral online about like them trying to get on the flight and then being escorted off the flight, and then people in the airports like recording them, and they're hysterical and they're crying, and they're like, well, they call me a fucking terrorist, and like they won't let me fly, and like all of that. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you get. Like, it's absolutely like, you should be embarrassed. You should absolutely be embarrassed. People are like, but she's with her child. I'm like, she didn't know she had a child before she stormed the Capitol. Like, who is she doing this for? You feel me? Like, if you want to be a revolutionary, like, you have to be willing to do what comes with, being a revolutionary. And so I think all of that to say is that, like, no to answer your question, I don't think that they've been punished to the fullest extent. What that would look like to me is these people actually being arrested on site the day that they were storming the Capitol. And then, they deserve to go to jail and stand trial in whichever order it goes in.
But yeah, no organic foods.
No.
If you do the crime, you're like, if you do the crime, you don't get to, you got to do the time, right? Like, you don't get organic foods, you don't get to get off flight.
To me, it's not just about what the rioters were doing. It's not just about them. It's the people who have been fanning the flames for months, who have been perpetuating a lie over and over and over. And y'all know it's a lie. Y'all know it's a lie. The hell? It's people like Senator Ted Cruz. I want him out. I want him out. I want him to serve time for this. Senator John Hawley, I want him out as well. I want him to lose his political career. You guys are willing to sacrifice democracy for your own political careers. And the fact of the matter is, I believe that this was an inside job, and it's not just me. It's not just me. It's the media is now starting to point out these little inconsistencies. Also, people are telling on each other. You have Ali Alexander, which I'm sorry, sir. I'm confused on how he is the founder of Stop the Steal. And I am confused, sir. I really am, because you look Middle Eastern to me. Caping for Donald Trump, who would very quickly extradite you out of this country as being a terrorist just for saying something is the bomb. Okay, so I need you to get your whole life together. Apparently this man has gone into hiding. Girl, I was confused, like, sir, what? Okay. Whatever's going on in your deranged mind. But he was the organizer of Stop the Steal. This event had been planned, and look here, this was never just going to be a protest. This was never just going to be a protest. You could look on any forum. They were talking about, I'm going to bring my guns. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. So, like, really, the government failed the government. But he has already told that he was working with who he was working with, because he's like, yo, I'm not going down for this by myself. And he indicated the 3 members of Congress, which was Andy Biggs from Arizona, Paul Gosar from Arizona, and Mo Brooks from Alabama. Now, I don't know if there's some sort of connection, but they were talking about how Congress people were leaving the doors open for people to come in after the Capitol was already on the lockdown. So that I'm trying to figure out, what is this FBI investigation going to come up with, yo? What is it going to come up with? You also have, what is her name? Presley, Representative Presley. And all her panic buttons were ripped out of her office. We also had people walking around in corridors and all these other things where they shouldn't know about. And then we find out the day before this little insurrection that they were having, what is it called? Reconnaissance? Yes, reconnaissance tours all over the Capitol when they haven't had a tour since March. Like, it's kind of like a dumbass criminal, like who thinks that they're smart, and the police could like just slowly put this together as, why were y'all having tours? Why were y'all doing this? Why were y'all doing that? This seems like a very much like an inside job. And whatever they're going to find out, they need to find out quickly, because these people still have their seats. And if anyone was involved in this, even more than just the vote to side with the seditionists, y'all need to go to jail too. These members of Congress, these members of the Senate, you need to lose your position, because the political power has clearly gone to your head and made you start committing dumbass things, dumbass acts of treason. Like, you didn't know this person was going to tell on you. Like, you didn't know that leading a tour during a time of COVID where you can't do anything, where everybody's just at home. All of a sudden you're having tours. You think that nobody would notice that? Ripping panic buttons. I hope they have cameras. Ripping panic buttons out the walls. All of that. And then there was that crazy woman, that QAnon woman. I don't remember who, but somebody elected a QAnon conspiratist.
Is it
who was texting
Marjorie
Nancy
Taylor Greene?
Probably. I
right?
believe you. Yep. What's her name? Say it again. She needs to go to jail.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe.
She needs to go to jail.
Gotta look that up.
Who was texting Nancy Pelosi's position the entire time the Capitol was on lockdown. Now she needs to go to jail for attempted murder. For real. You need to go to jail. The number one example are the people that we're supposed to look to an example. Those people first need to be punished. Now we're getting the outright acts of violence out of the way first. Like, people who were just unashamed of it's like if you stood and shot someone, yeah, that person needs to go to jail. If you shot somebody, but who told you to do that? Who paid you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, so there's definitely a lot there. And more reports are coming out as to, those suspicious pieces about, there was like this coordination. I definitely heard about, the Nancy Pelosi's position being, updated like on a consistent basis. And some tours and here are some specific hallways and alleyways and stuff that you can access, blah blah blah. I mean, I think it's a very tricky question, I think, for the people, and for Joe Biden, for example, what he wants to do with it. I mean, I think that yes, if you helped, so if you aided in the insurrection, you should, from the 14th Amendment, and some people are talking about this. I think it's the 14th Amendment, Section 3. Congress can pass a law to bar anyone who took part in an insurrection or aided or gave comfort to those who were in open rebellion. Which is something that was passed after the Civil War. I think it could reasonably be, is something that could apply to what happened last week. So those people can be banned from serving in elected office. And I think that is, at the very least, the start of what the punishment should be. Once the investigation concludes and we get all the facts about, what hand each person had in it, I think that's the bare minimum of what they can do. Now, will, for example, Chuck Schumer be pushing to pass that legislation? Will Nancy Pelosi be pressing for that legislation? Will Joe Biden be? I mean, he's kind of doing this thing about we got to bring the country together and have this unity and all that stuff. But I mean, you got to throw out the people who are literally sowing the disunion. In my opinion, you got to throw the people who are sowing the disunion out, and bring everybody else who's on the same team as you back together. You can have unity with people that agree, like you were saying, with the basic idea of democracy. Let's have unity with those people. We can throw everybody else out, and then there might be some criminal charges that happen after that.
Do you feel that if they continue to go, if Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi tend to go down this let's all hold hands and sing route, do you think that they are actually agreeing with Republicans in a way, the ones who are calling for unity and no responsibility?
I think that indirectly, I think it's complicated. I think their inaction only means one thing, or only symbolizes one thing. That I guess I'll say it like this: the one good thing about Trump, and the one good thing about Trump is that Trump has shown all the cracks in our system, right? So as much we could blame him from today to the end of time about how disgusting he is and how incompetent and how he's the biggest loser and all of that, what he's shown are the specks that make up the rock, right? So I think that yes, in a way, if Joe Biden and his administration or whoever's supposed to FBI or like I'm not even sure who's supposed to be handling these charges against the insurrectionists. I'm not sure, like the process because it's really wild. It's like no, it's really wild to see this thing happen, and now we as a people are trying to like understand and because what you're just described to me sounds like something out of like a spy novel. Like it sounds like a Watergate kind of like situation that's like,
but a stupid spy novel.
Yeah.
Dangerously like. It just sounds like fiction. I guess is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't sound like something that we would be seeing or we think we would be seeing in our everyday America, right? And so, where I'm going with this is that like what they need to do or what needs to happen, what we need right now while you were talking as I was like, oh my God, the only person that could fix this is a strong leader, someone who's going to be able to like hurt some feelings and kick some people out and clean house. Because if we don't clean house and really take what occurred seriously and put these people in jail and really crack down on what happened, because what happened is not a joke or near is a game. Like we could laugh about it, we could smile about it, we could just watch it and like it's reality TV. But this is a US government that we're talking about. We're not talking about The Apprentice. We're not talking about Bad Girls Club. We're not talking about SpongeBob. We're talking about an actual democracy. And so the only way, yes, to answer your question, yes. If they moving forward have someone like Ted Cruz on, in Congress and the Margaret Taylor blah 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 person that you mentioned, Ryan. If these people continue to exist in government, it will no longer be government. The more they keep playing, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You keep playing these stupid games with people. I'm serious. You keep playing games with people, you're gonna have a stupid prize. So yes, to answer your question.
Can you guys imagine if Trump was like a crafty human being? Like if he didn't like announce his crimes and constantly tell on himself, and like if he was like Mitch McConnell evil, like
that's a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you can imagine someone more competent, more sly, just more organized, like pulling this off. Like, I mean, so what I was hearing was that the people that broke in, they were kind of going to, they wanted to kill Mike Pence among Democrats because they felt like Mike Pence didn't decertify the election or whatever, right?
And something he has no power to do.
Exactly. So their overall intent was basically to overthrow the government by killing, hurting, driving out the duly elected members. And so if you engage in that activity,
that's
you have to go.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yes, they wanted to that was part of the plan, was to just kill Democratic leaders and leave. I'm like, y'all, what did you think was going to happen? We were just going to continue as if nothing happened? No, you're going to jail. You can't do that. That's not the way it works here.
These are the same side of people that, wear the "don't tread on me" and, we're going to stand against government tyranny type of people. And they are the ones that were trying to overthrow an election and install basically an autocratic leader in Donald Trump. And if there was somebody that was better about that, they could have pulled it off. And so it doesn't matter if it was dumb or it was stupid, right? It was like a diet coup. It doesn't matter. You have to pay the price for even engaging in the act. And so you should lose your seats. You should, do criminal time. I'm just still mad about the organic food thing. So
I'm really offended by that, for real.
Girl.
Like,
I mean, just even in the worst circumstances, the privilege, my goodness.
Right.
Yes. I'm like, are you allergic?
Say that. Right. Like,
you ain't allergic, you ain't gonna die. You better eat that spoiled peanut butter on that molded ass bread. Stop it.
And I think, Elizabeth, I like what you said about, like, you know, if you want to be a revolutionary, like, you know, this is what happens, right? Like, you like, can you imagine these people actually going to war and being like, well, what about my, you know, my blankie? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think this is? You know, like George Washington and his army were like starving in the winter.
What do you
like,
think? Scratchy.
What do you mean we have to eat squirrels in the wilderness?
It's too rough on my skin. I'm good.
Do you have SPF lotion on you, bro? What? Like, this is war. Like,
yeah, y'all, they were not built for this at all. At all.
No. I'm just kind of like, that was just deeply confusing that his mommy had to tell him, he's not eating because the food is not organic. It's like, oh, Lord, that's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing and it's pathetic. And, yeah,
or the Olympic swimmer who got arrested. It's just like, I don't know how y'all, like, he had the patch on his jacket. He was wearing his Olympic swimmer jacket.
People were wearing badges from work.
That's how they found him. I was just like, badges from work? Girl, what are y'all doing?
People and no mask. Police officers were waving their badges to have Capitol building officers like let them in the building with protesters. Like, so these people are wearing their badges, their work badges. So work badges, police officer badges. Like, what the lady who said she was from Knoxville, Tennessee, like she gave her real name. All you have to do is Google search her to find out she was from Maryland. Like, are you stupid? If you're gonna have a secret identity, like have a complete secret identity. Say your name's Sandra Anderson. Why would you say my name's Elizabeth and I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee? I mean, Knoxville. And then someone Googled you. They found out you were in Maryland. They found out you were a lawyer, or a teacher, or whatever. And now you're fired. Are you stupid?
That was the girl who was up rubbing onions on her face, pretending she got maced. I don't understand the logic. I don't understand.
Well, let me say this. This is why like I don't like the idea of like, oh, we're gonna get tough on crime by like adding, 10 years to this crime, 20 years to this crime. Like when people are in when people are in it, they're not thinking about the crime. They think they're gonna get away. They're gonna get away with it.
Well, right? This was very white. This was very white because no way in the hell, if I know I'm going to do something illegal, I know I'm going to be somewhere I have no.
I just want to say really fast, Marisa. I just want to say really fast. I feel like we are giving like ways to commit better crimes, and I don't want this episode to be. I don't want anyone watching. It's like, oh, we're gonna.
That's common sense, though.
Or next times we're not going to do.
It's common sense. Like if you rob a bank, you put a mask on.
Common sense ain't common. Common sense ain't common, and we're not giving anyone any clues as to how to commit.
We're not. It's not. Wait a minute. Hold on. Because right now, it's not giving people clues on how to commit crime. It's examining that privilege of I don't even have to cover up my face. That's not them just being so completely oblivious and brain dead that they don't understand what they were doing was illegal or not understanding what they're doing was a crime. It's just they knew in their hearts that nothing was going to happen to them because I am a white man in America. I remember there was a video of a man pushing up on police saying, don't be afraid, push them back. We're Americans. Don't be afraid. We're Americans. But what does that mean? It means that we are white men. Ain't nothing going to happen to us. It's not giving them like, oh, if you guys want to commit a crime. It's more like exploring this outlandish privilege that they have, and to know that they walked up to this building, threatened to kill people, smeared shit on the walls, destroyed federal property, and walked away and went home. And that is the privilege that they had.
As opposed to people protesting
we would have been dead.
Who were obviously Americans as well. All kinds of police brutality crimes committed against them, and and with no, and they were obviously on the side of law and order at that time, and now they're, because they can't get their way, they throw law and order out the window. And I guess maybe the last thing I'll just put in here is that some of the congressmen and the people like on TV are arguing that like, oh yeah, it wasn't the Trump supporters, it was actually Antifa, disguised as Trump reporters that were doing it. And it's just like, okay,
we talked about this last time.
You can't talk to these people. They can do no wrong.
Last week, and it makes me pity how like that people could watch that on TV, like a news person say, "Oh, this was Antifa," and you saw that whole thing on TV. It makes me sad for your intelligence to be like, "Oh, maybe it was." It's like looking at the sky. You see that it's blue, and then someone tells you it's green, and then you're just kind of like, well, I kind of see that tinge of green. You can see it in front of you.
Right.
Like, at this point, I'm just like, I pity those people. So I'm like, hey, no, how
I think it tells to a bigger picture or another perspective, which is that America is so many people in America are rooted their core values and how they choose to see the world is rooted in their hate, in their hatred of other people. So it doesn't matter what you show them. It doesn't matter how much proof you give them. It doesn't matter what the documents say. It doesn't matter what the facts say. What they're going to choose to believe is whatever fills their hatred for other people and whatever sows discord and division between them and who they feel is the enemy, right? And so I think that it's deeper than, oh, are you so stupid? It's not that, oh, they're so stupid. They're so hateful that they choose not to see the truth. It's a
us versus them mentality.
It's a choice. Like, I'm choosing not to see this because I do not want to see this, not because, oh, I'm so stupid and I can't comprehend. If you could buy a flight ticket and get on a flight and get to DC from wherever these people came from, you could understand. Antifa is not a group. Antifa stands for anti-fascism. Like, it's not a group. There are no Antifa members out here trying to steal your guns or do whatever the hell that people think Antifa does. It's not an action organization. And so, like, yeah, I think it's a choice. I don't think we've yet to understand that, because America keeps believing that it doesn't have a problem and that there's no, and racism is just a lack of empathy. Racism is not a lack of empathy. Racism is an insidious system sold in hatred for anything other than white. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I don't think they're that stupid at all. I think it's a choice to be ignorant and hateful.
See, I gave them, I feel like maybe it's a little bit of both. Because I just always remember that, I will always remember that lady calling into C-SPAN in tears, asking if her president had lied to her that day, and my deep, overwhelming confusion. And the fact that she was like, when has he not lied to you, girl? But the fact that you're so emotional about it, I just like, you must have truly believed him.
Yeah.
Which is, but it's crazy to me, but I would like us to move on.
Today Marisa's brought up many really good is not a word. Don't ever use that phrase. Marisa is brought really
that fire.
That we talked about today. We hope that you enjoyed our episode. If this is your first time with us, again, welcome. We hope you enjoy the episode. Like and subscribe to this channel and to this video. Like this video, and then also comment below. My name is Elizabeth Chijioke. I'm your host.
I'm Marisa from Las Vegas.
And I'm Ryan Leon from Los Angeles, also host of Dissected Debates, also on YouTube. You can check that out. So,
and I feel like I have to share where I'm at now. Psych, I'm not going to. Yeah, Canada.
Are you from Canada?
No.
Oh, I was like, you're safe. You're safe and your mirror is sexy.
No. And this has been the Rona Report. I'm in New York. And this has been the Rona Report. So we thank you for watching. Have a good night. Bless you.